Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's Mark from Sound Matters here, and today I want to talk about quotes from famous people about the vinyl format, because I think it's pretty difficult to think of any other way of experiencing music that conjures up quite the amount of feeling, nostalgia and passion as the vinyl format does. I don't think CDs go anywhere near this level. I certainly don't think tapes go anywhere near this level. And certainly streaming, well, there's a reason people are going back to something like vinyl to a certain degree. You know, it might not completely replace their streaming experience, but they're searching for something that streaming cannot deliver. When it comes to physical media though, the passion and the sense of evocativeness of the whole package, it can't be beat. And I think that the quotes I'll read out today really show that. I'll save the best quote for last because it really is a classic. First on my list is a whole host of quotes from Jack White. Arguably, he's been one of the biggest advocates of the vinyl format through the resurgence in the 2000 years as the sales really began to come back for this format. And, you know, love him or hate him, I think you can't deny him that. He truly believes in the format and the power of it and the importance of keeping the flame alive. In his own words, vinyl is the real deal. I've always felt like until you buy the vinyl record, you don't really own the album. And it's not just me or a little pet thing or some sort of retro romantic thing from the past. It is still alive. White's words are a bold statement that really epitomises how I feel on this channel about the true importance of owning music. As a standalone statement, however, I rather prefer this one. There's no romance in singing about an iPod. That's not all from Jack White, of course. He's done this time and time again. Here's another quote from him that I absolutely love. I prefer vinyl. We talk about it backstage. As musicians, it comes up a lot. It's a shame that new generations are missing out on albums. And you know, of course, increasingly younger people are turning to buying physical albums if they really love an artist. But when it comes to the streaming experience, that temptation to skip songs, to just listen to playlists. In fact, a lot of people that I know that aren't collectors of records, they don't really listen to whole albums on streaming platforms. They just listen to playlists, and sometimes they actually let devices pull these playlists up for them, or they just pick them from generic lists that are curated by the streaming service itself. And I think they are missing out on something. They really are missing out on the album as an art form. We need to get back to that. Next is a quote from Joseph Sadler, better known, of course, as Grandmaster Flash. Now, for him, the love of the vinyl format started young and became the basis, of course, as well, of a successful career. My father was my first inspiration. He had an incredible stereo and turntable, and I was told not to touch it, but I'd go back and touch it anyway. I gained respect for the turntables when I was a kid. When I was a teenager, I came up with a queuing system to work the turntables because they didn't have them at the time. Now, isn't that a little bit more romantic than asking a smart speaker to simply pull up a playlist? Number 3 is Norah Jones. Now, if there's ever a more recent, I say that loosely because she became famous about 20 years ago, over 20 years ago now, but, you know, a contemporary, more modern artist, if you like, in the grand scheme of things. But if there was ever an artist whose music seemed to aesthetically be just perfect for the vinyl format, I think it's got to be Norah Jones. Of course, she rose to success through the height of Napster, and despite all of this, she's always shown a real true passion and feeling and understanding and respect for physical media. I think it's important for people who love music to retain physical CDs or even vinyl because it sounds so great and so much warmer than music over the internet. Number 4 is Quentin Tarantino. Now, the film director and screenwriter is said to find a lot of inspiration from his ever-expanding record collection. It's pretty difficult to think, well, I think so anyway, pretty difficult to think of music up in the cloud having quite the same inspirational effect as a wide range of music in your own collection that really means something to you and has a whole infinite amount of memories from your own experiences that can trigger those memories. Like I always say, and I use this word a lot at the moment, but it really is a really evocative format, and it has that ability to trigger the senses in a way that other formats just can't touch. I'm a big collector of vinyl. I have a record room in my house, and I've always had a huge soundtrack album collection. So what I do as I'm writing a movie is I go through all of those songs, trying to find good songs for fights or good pieces of music to layer into the film. Number 5, and it's Neil Young, who controversially initially dismissed the vinyl revival as a mere fashion accessory. And while I would disagree overall, I do understand to a level his point, and I think he was right to criticise some of the quality of the work going to some modern pressings. That being said, that didn't mean that Neil Young doesn't have, or it doesn't mean that Neil Young doesn't have a general appreciation for the vinyl format. And to add further controversy, he was also stated as quoting about Steve Jobs. He said that Steve Jobs was a pioneer of digital music, but when he went home, he listened to vinyl. Now that's what we call ironic. Some formats simply make better company than others, or at least that's how Henry Rollins, the former Black Flag frontman, sees things. Here's a fantastic quote of him explaining why you'll never listen alone. Sitting in a room alone listening to a CD is to be lonely. Sitting in a room alone with an LP crackling away, or sitting next to a turntable listening to a song at the time via a 7-inch single, is enjoying the sublime state of solitude. Yet another rebel with yet more controversial opinions, the Sex Pistols frontman John Lydon is about as authentic as it gets. In his quote he states, "I hate the technological rip-offs that pass for music these days and go back to vinyl to hear a good record because the sound is always so much fuller. I don't even like listening to music in the car." Number 8 is Roger Daltrey. The Who frontman once went on record, and I think this is some time ago now, but poignant nonetheless. He stated that if I was a billionaire and had my time all over again, I would invest all of my money into setting up a factory to produce vinyl records again. It's funny really, because eventually he has basically had his wish. There are new pressing plants that have popped up to meet demand over recent years. There was one in the UK about 3 years ago called Press on Vinyl in Middlesbrough that opened, aiming to press around 50,000 records per week. I imagine capacity hopefully has gone up since then. There was one open in California last year called Fidelity, and among others as well on both sides of the pond. So new record pressing plants are opening all the time. It's simply just the market reacting to what people are asking for. Number 9 is Josh Homme, the Queens of the Stone Age frontman, who once went on record to say that vinyl has got to the point where it is exclusively for the collector, I guess. Now, there would have been a time where that could have been considered true, but with sales being where they are, where they've climbed to, okay, things are levelling off a little bit now, and it is always going to be a somewhat niche hobby. But I think, with the demand that's there and the way it's sustaining pretty well, I would argue, I think vinyl is here to stay. It's finding its place within the market for those who want to seek it out. It's never going to be the main format ever again. Of course not. We don't live in those times anymore, but it does have a place for those who want that complete experience. And I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. And it's more than just exclusive collectors. It's also younger people who want something more than just streaming. Even if it is that they just love the artwork, they might never play it, and they just want to own the music that they love. For Depeche Mode's Martin Gore, the vinyl experience is a complete package, and I simply couldn't agree more. It was so exciting to go to a record shop and buy a piece of vinyl and hold it, read the liner notes, look at the pictures, even the smell of the vinyl. Is it just me? Is it weird? Or is there something about the smell of old records? And even the smell of a new record, when you take it fresh out of the packaging, it has a kind of smell, the whole packaging and everything. These things have, again, a very memory triggering response. Is it just me on the smell to a certain degree of some used records? Okay, maybe not if they've gone mouldy, but there's a certain mustiness that, even though it's partly gross, it's still also slightly nostalgic. The smell of records. Anybody else? Huh? And of course, I've saved the very best until last. It is, and I'm sure a lot of you have guessed this, the late, great radio DJ, John peeled. If there was ever a quote that summed up just how much soul we've lost in recording music today, it's definitely this one. Somebody was trying to tell me that CDs are better than vinyl because they don't have any surface noise. I said, listen mate, life has surface noise. Peel had a real ear for genuine special musical talent, and his legacy of backing the underdog to boost the profile of some of the most amazing acts that ever hit the stage, the likes of Mark Bolan and the Smiths, just to name a couple that come to mind straight away, is just a few of the reasons why his legacy is so revered to this day. Real special bloke, and I think it's fitting that he gets the crown, I think, of the ultimate quote about vinyl records. Or maybe it's this one from the New Yorker cartoonist Gregory, and I hope I'm okay to use this. I'll put a link in the description of the video to the guy's website as credit, but it's got to be one of the best tongue-in-cheek memes out there about record collectors. The two things that really drew me to vinyl were the expense and the inconvenience. I mean, it's funny because it's true, and if you can't poke fun of yourself, then what are we all here for? But that's it from me. If you'd like to support me further at this channel, please check out the discount codes in the description of every single video. You get money off related hi-fi gear, no extra cost to you. Small commission comes my way, keeps this channel going. There's also my Patreon page for bonus content and an exclusive community over there as well. If you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. But until the next video, guys, keep spinning the records, keep enjoying the music. That's what we're all here for, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.